Started with a whisper. Not the kind humans hear, but the kind that threads through your thoughts, insistent and intimate. I was walking through the abandoned research sector on the fringe of Velythra station, a sleepy orbital outpost orbiting a dying star. My shift had ended hours ago, but I couldn't leave. Something about the dim hum of the station drew me in. The stillness, the emptiness, the quiet promise that no one else was around to notice what happened next. That's when I first saw her. She stepped from the shadows of the maintenance tunnel. Pale like the moonlight filtering through the station's cracked observation windows. Her hair shimmered black with a subtle crimson sheen, and her eyes, oh those eyes, glowed faintly red, reflecting the ambient lights. She moved like she was part shadow, part smoke, yet completely solid. I should have panicked. My brain screamed at me to run, to radio security, to do anything but breathe in her presence. But I didn't. Instead, she looked at me and spoke. "You're mine." Her voice didn't echo. It didn't carry. It settled inside me, like a thought I didn't know I had but suddenly could not ignore. I don't know you," I stammered, my throat tight. "I know you," she said. Her lips curled into a smile, almost predatory yet comforting. "I have chosen you." I laughed nervously. Surely this was some hallucination, a trick of fatigue and stress. Humans weren't supposed to encounter alien vampires on deserted orbital stations. That was a plot device, a cautionary tale, not real life. "I think you have the wrong human," I said. "I don't even." "Sure." She raised a slender hand. "I do not make mistakes. You are exactly who I need." That was the beginning of the week that rewrote my understanding of the universe. The first night I slept, or tried to, while she watched from the corner of my room. Not threateningly, not invasively, but observantly. Her eyes glimmered red in the dark, shifting and swirling like coals, yet calm, patient, and impossibly intelligent. I felt exposed not just physically but mentally, emotionally, in ways I couldn't articulate. Over the next few days I discovered that she was Velythra, a vampire woman from the ancient planet of Nyxera Prime, whose kind had existed longer than humanity had walked upright. Her species was predatory in ways humans might call cruel, but governed by a strict code. Choice was sacred. The bond she sought with me was voluntary, yet it was hers to declare. That was what terrified me. "You have the freedom to refuse," she said one evening as we sat in the observation lounge, looking out at the dying star. The orange sun bled into the black void, casting long shadows across the station's metallic corridors. But refusal would be difficult. Difficult how? I asked, trying to maintain some semblance of control. Because once I declare someone mine, the connection is psychic, emotional, and biological. You will feel me. I will feel you. Not accepting me. It's not simple. Her words were alarming. Alien biology intertwined with human consent in ways that were entirely new to me. And yet, I felt drawn to her. Despite the fear, despite the strangeness, despite the unthinkable situation, something inside me responded to the weight of her choice. The following days blurred into nights as she introduced me to the subtle intricacies of her kind. Velythra's species lived in shadows, subsisting on light and bioenergy in ways humans could barely perceive. They could communicate silently, weave their thoughts into webs that bypassed language, and sense truth with unsettling clarity. Every time she touched me, lightly, almost delicately, I felt waves of comprehension and warmth, thoughts merging briefly, sharing emotions too complex for words. I had always prided myself on being rational. Science was my religion. But she made me realize how much I had overlooked. Love, desire, loyalty. Humans had concepts for them, but her kind lived them differently. And now she wanted me not for survival, not for status, but because she had chosen me. That choice terrified me more than anything else in my life. Then came the moment I couldn't avoid. The station's sensors had detected a small pirate fleet attempting to breach the outer dock. They were scavengers, dangerous but manageable. I went with Velythra, expecting to help coordinate humans, maybe try diplomacy if possible. I was not prepared for the sudden wave of her power when she moved. She was poetry in motion, grace, predation, and raw energy all at once. The pirates barely registered her presence before they were disarmed, incapacitated, or flung off the docking platform entirely. Humans around me gawked, their fear mixed with awe. And I, staring at her, realized something crucial. She wasn't dangerous because she wanted to be. She was dangerous because she cared. Afterward, as alarms died down and emergency protocols were enacted, she turned to me. Her crimson eyes softened. "You see," she asked, "you are mine and yet you are free. That is how this works." I don't know if I can process this," I admitted. "You don't have to," she said. "You only have to exist. And to accept that I have chosen you." Days turned into weeks. I learned to navigate her presence, the subtle psychic connections, the way she could anticipate thoughts and feelings. Every human instinct I had to resist, to flee, to control, clashed with something far older, far wiser than me. And every day I found myself surrendering a little more. Not because I was weak, but because I realized that connection, choice, and trust were deeper than I had ever known. One night, she spoke quietly, leaning against the station's observation glass. "When I first saw you, I felt certainty. Not lust. Not obligation. Certainty. I do not choose lightly. Others I have claimed, have lost, or they have lost me. But you are the first I have chosen without question." I swallowed hard, unable to speak. Her honesty, her clarity, the depth of her choice. It overwhelmed me. "I never expected this," I said finally. "No," she said softly. "Love wasn't the plan. But I am not human. I do not plan like humans. Feel and I choose. And you were ready to feel with me." It was the first time I understood. It wasn't fear. It wasn't obligation. It was the acknowledgement that across species, across instincts and biology, choice and intent could merge into something that mattered. Something beautiful. The day came when we were officially recognized, both by the remnants of the station council and by her people, who had arrived to oversee her claim. My heart hammered as she stood before her elders, before the humans and aliens alike, and declared me her own. The words resonated across the station, across the networks, even reaching the wider galactic communications for documentation. "This human," she said, her voice carrying authority I could barely comprehend, "has been chosen by me. He is mine, not as property, not as subject, but as a partner, a companion, a soul that I recognize." There was silence, then a ripple of acknowledgement, respect, and, surprisingly, acceptance. Humans murmured in awe. Aliens exchanged cautious nods. And I, standing in front of her, still trembling, realized that my life had changed forever. It wasn't about ceremony. It wasn't about authority. It was about choice. And it had been given to me freely. Weeks later, as we floated through the observation deck, staring at a binary star system painting streaks of gold and violet across the void, I asked her a question I had feared. "Do you care for me truly? Or is this some instinctual need?" She tilted her head, her dark hair shimmering with faint red. "I care because I chose. Not because I must. Not because it's convenient. Chose you, human. You are my own." And in that moment, I understood the depth of her power. Not the kind that could destroy worlds. The kind that could bind hearts across the cosmos. I reached for her hand. It was cold, almost unreal, but steady. She took mine, weaving her energy with mine in a silent acknowledgement of union. No ceremony could replicate it. No law could define it. We were bound by intent, choice, and recognition. Love wasn't the plan. I had survived the galaxy, the pirates, and the alien threats without it. Yet here it was undeniable, extraordinary, terrifying, and beautiful. And she had chosen me as her own. The galaxy still whispers about the human who was claimed by a vampire queen. Scientists debate whether it was instinct, psychic manipulation, or genuine choice. Historians argue over whether humans could ever comprehend the depth of such bonds. I don't care about the historians. 'Cause I am human. And I am hers. And somehow, against every protocol, every expectation, and every plan I had ever made, that is exactly how it was meant to be.